I got tea in my cup, and I don't give a fuck. What's up, my dudes? We got some St. Louis RF track that's really not that big of an improvement from the first track. Is it better? Yes, but I feel like some of you guys are kind of blowing that out of proportion. Listen, anything was better than that Anaheim 1 2020 RF track. I promise you, dog. Anything was better than that. So, yes, obviously the second round is going to be an improvement, dog. But it's not like it's like, oh my God, yay, they're finally making really good tracks in RF. No, it's not like that. I'm just telling you. So, I'm going to dive a little deeper into this track, kind of see what we got going on with it. Okay, so first thing, before I say anything else, why are we going back to 2016 scaling? Like, what are we doing? As far as, like, the width of the track and kind of how cramped down and everything just feels small, you know what I mean? Everything feels, like, narrow and cramped down and short and small and close together, and I don't know how to explain that any better than that, but if you pro race back in this game back in 2016, and specifically even better if you raced before 2016 and then you raced in 2016, then you raced after 2016, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, there was a certain kind of scaling that a lot of their tracks had over the years, like a certain width that the track had, just a certain way, you know, a certain size that the entire track had, like had the feeling of it, the size of it, you know what I'm saying? The RF has kind of had this certain feeling to all their tracks, but for whatever reason in 2016, it's like they tried to go down this more narrow, I guess you could say realistic, but not really. It's really just more one-to-one scale, which I guess you can say is more realistic, but as you guys know in these motocross games, one-to-one scale doesn't always mean better. More realistic, quote-unquote, doesn't always mean a better racing experience and a better track. You understand what I'm saying? Because the way video games work is very different than the way real life works. Even in a simulator, it's still different. You know what I'm saying? So that's why when you get on a true, like, one-to-one scale built track, exactly the same scaling as real life, a lot of times it's actually not that fun of an experience. Well, that's kind of the road they went down in 2016. They made the tracks more narrow. They kind of cramped everything down, tried to make it almost just felt like everything was smaller. Everything was tighter, cramped down. You still have these super rolled off, smoothed off corners. You feel like there's not even really corners on the track. This is the same issue they had in Anaheim 1, especially this corner right here. Oh my God, like for the amount of speed that you have coming into this corner, it's just ridiculous. Like, you feel like there's no corner there. When there's no road on the track, it is the most bizarre experience trying to corner on these tracks when there's no road on them. It's so weird. It feels like you almost can't even corner because you're like going into this super smooth down, rolled down. It's just like not even a corner anymore, bro. It's like not even a berm anymore. You're on this just really smoothed out wannabe berm, but that's not really what it is. So it just gives you one of the most bizarre turning in the corner experiences you will ever have in this game on some of these tracks, specifically when there's no road on them. And RF, just letting you know, these aren't whoops. These are rollers. Okay? I just hope you realize that. You had this same exact issue at Anaheim 1. You have smoothed out your whoops and rolled down your whoops to the point to where they're not whoops anymore, bro. These are rollers. Like, whoever's disagreeing with me on that, I can't even fathom what goes through your brain on an everyday basis, because these are not whoops right here, dog. Have you ever been on an actual Supercross track? Have you ever been on an arena cross track where real whoops are at and how big they are and how hard it is to hit real life whoops? Like, I'm not saying I've hit a bunch of whoop sections in my life, but I've seen some whoop sections, bro. And that's not what this is. This is roller sections. And you can just compare to the way the whoops have been in this game back before they started running a road. Like in some of the 2017 tracks, like Oakland, some of the 14 tracks, they actually had like whoop skill. You actually had to you know, it was kind of scary when you came up to the whoops. It's like, oh man, I really got to be on the throttle. I really got to keep my front end light. Got to hit every single whoop. There was actually a skill to it. Now there is literally no risk to the whoops at all. You can go slow, go fast, hold it wide open, slow completely down, turn. You're not going to wreck on these things because they're rollers, bro. They're not whoops. They're nowhere near tall enough. They're nowhere near peaked enough. So then there's no skill to it, dude. They're way too rolled off. Way too rolled off. I mean, if you just amp these whoops up like 10%, 15% height-wise, it would do a dandy for them, bro. But there's just no skill. You literally feel like you're playing the official Monster Energy Supercross game. There's no whoop skill anymore. Like, there's no corner skill without a road, because you just go into the corner and just slide around and then come out of the corner. And then there's no whoop skill gap because they've rolled the whoops completely down. Like, what is this? Seriously. I saw a couple people talking about this on the forums too. Like, what are you doing with the whoops? Why? It's like they're getting their tracks to the point to where they're making them stupidly, unrealistically perfect. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, every single whoop is like the exact same height. They're the exact same whoop. It's like you just duplicated each one of these whoops perfectly over and over and over and over and over. There is no variation in the whoops at all. You know how in real life, they're like, you're going to have one whoop that's just a little bit taller than the other one, and the next one, maybe it's got the right side of the whoops a little bit shorter than the left side. You know, there's a little bit of character to it. There's a little bit of variation to it. There's no character to these RF tracks at all anymore. There's none. There's none. There's no little pre-made ruts at all. None. There's no, like, pre-made difference of jump face. So just like how the whoops are way too perfectly built, every single jump face is the same way. Way too perfectly built. You don't have, like, to the left of the jump face is a little bit lower than the right of the jump face, or there's like a little bit of a slight little kicker, or just a couple little micro ruts going up the jump face. There is none of that. None of it. It's like you're starting on this just completely unrealistic, perfectly smooth everywhere track. I mean, that's just what it is, bro. That's just what it is. And it's so weird riding on tracks like this because you feel like you're riding on something that's not even real. I mean, that's actually what you feel like. So either way, I mean, I just think the overall layout and just the way the jumps in the track map was on this track was a lot better laid out than Anaheim 1, just to begin with, just to start with. I don't really think they've made that much of an improvement here or done a whole lot here. It's just the track map and all that was just a better track than Anaheim 1. But it's just like right here, like one little kind of sort of little berm type thing up the inside. Like, that's what I want to see more, RF. Little something something somewhere. And it's crazy because, yeah, you say, oh, well, they're just running 100% off the track map, so that's all they can do, Spencer, is just make it off of the track map. Well, that's interesting because if I do remember properly, BAC did that exact same thing. He went just off of the track maps. And look at how different the Anaheim 1 RF track is from the Anaheim 1 BAC track. They are completely different tracks. It's all in how you interpret the track map. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's not like any one of you guys that are making these tracks are actually down on the real life track when they're racing on it or riding on it. So it's all an interpretation thing. I'm tired of these idiots saying, well, they just have to go off the track map, Spencer. They can't really do a whole lot. They just have to do what's on the track map. No. They can interpret and sort of change the scaling and, you know, adjust it for how it would need to be in a video game, and there's all these other elements that goes into it versus just doing what's on the track map. It's not that simple. It's not like that to some of you guys that are getting that idea in your head. But yeah, it's just like the corners are so, I mean, look at how cramped down this corner is right here. Look at how tight this corner is. Like, and the problem is not so much how tight it is, but it's how smooth the berm is. It's almost like as soon as you come off this last whoop, you almost feel like you're already in where the berm starts. It's insane. And then this jump right here, you're almost not even off of the berm before this jump starts because of how cramped down everything is. You understand what I'm saying? Everything is just so crampy, small. This feels more like an arena cross scaling to me than Supercross in this game. It really does. Like, it honestly does, guys. And, you know, yay, finally, the one quad section they actually put into a track in here in 2020 is not even worth it. They put a quad right here, okay, which I didn't even hit it right there, but you can actually quad that into the corner. But it is way faster and way more safe just to hit the triple and then go up the inside. Like, it's so much better just to do that. Plus, when you have a road, you're not going to be able to hit that quad anyways when you get 2 or 3 laps into the race anyways. So even when they put that quad line, that real skill gappy rhythm, you can't even, it's pointless to hit anyways. What the hell's the point in hitting it anyways? See what I'm saying by how they've went backwards skill gap-wise everywhere? The whoops have no skill because they're not whoops, they're rollers. The corners have no skill because they're not corners, they're flat sections. The big quad lines have no skill because when you hit them, you can just about only hit them on the first 2 or 3 laps anyways before you get that random weird erode janky kicker on the jump faces, and then it's not even worth it anyways. And just the way they build the jumps and how cramped down everything is, even if you quad this, and how rolled down the corners are. See, everything affects everything. They've got this corner rolled down so far. Even if you hit this quad, it's not really like you can just land, carry all that speed, and gain time by hitting this corner really hard because there's no berm here. It's just a flat, smoothed off, rolled down, weird corner. So even when they do add the random occasional one skill gappy quad on a track, it's not even worth it anyways. And it's even less worth it once you start getting the erode on there. You understand what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, to me, this is just not MX Simulator Supercross anymore. This is some other vibe. I don't even know what this is anymore. What even is this, dog? Seriously, what even is this? I feel like we went back to 2016 scaling and 2011 smoothness and whoop design and like some weird, bizarre new way too tractiony traction to try to avoid the slickness of the erode, but yet it just backfires because it feels even more weird. I don't know, guys. This, to me, I mean, is it a rideable track? Yeah. Is it what I expected to be an RF 2020 Supercross? Hell no. Hell no. It is not even close to that. But you see what I'm saying about the cramped down feeling. Everything is just so small, scaling, cramped down. And it just makes you feel like you're riding on this really weird, small... But either way, that's my opinions on it, guys. If the A1 RF track was like a 2 or a 3, then this is like a 3 or a 4. I would only give this like 1 more point than the A1 track just because of the jumps and the layout of this track to begin with. I just feel like was better, but it's not really like they've designed the track any better or made the track any better. It's still the same trash that Anaheim 1 was. It was just a better layout design, a better track map for them to work from. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, I don't know. I can't stand when we get the game to a point where we have a certain scaling and then they go backwards in the scaling side of it. It literally makes you feel like you're going backwards in the evolution of the game. It makes you feel like you're going backwards in the advancements of the game when you go backwards in scaling of a track. When you make it smaller, tighter, more cramped down, more narrow specifically. I mean, this is super narrow, bro. Like, through these rhythm lanes, God, that is narrow. And some of you guys that are going to be saying, well, that's more like how real life is. Well, if you really played a lot of these games, you would understand how 1-to-1 scale never really works in motocross games. It doesn't. A true 1-to-1 scale never really works. I'm not saying come out here and make Spencer Turley scaling where it's just giant, humongous, super wide. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying of all the things you could have done from 2019 to 2020, the last thing you need to do is make the tracks more narrow or more cramped down scaling or smaller. If anything, you would just want to make things, you would want to keep the same width, but just make the jumps maybe a little bit more skill gapped, or have some couple pre-made ruts in the corners, or amp up the whoops even just a little bit more than they were in 2019. But it's just the same old stuff. It's the same old smooth down rollers. I'm going to stop calling them whoops, RF, because these are not whoops. These are rollers. So either way, I'm just really shocked of some of their decisions. I really thought they would have had a lot more pre-made on these tracks. Really thought they would have amped up the skill gap of the whoops and had more like interesting, bigger rhythms and stuff that were actually worth it. But no, doesn't really seem to be the case at all. Really thought they were going to amp up their corners a little bit, make them a little bit more like normal corners and not these smooth down, rolled off. You can barely even corner in them. You got to tiptoe on your Jordans. I really thought they were going to make an improvement to that, but I just don't see any improvement from 2019 to 2020 so far. And here we are, 2 tracks in. I just don't really see any improvement, man. I honestly, genuinely, and this is not me just going at RF, I honestly, genuinely feel like they are going backwards 100% at this point, because they're going backwards in every way. It's not just one aspect, it's every part of the track, and then every part of the track affects every other part of the track. You understand what I'm saying? So like, for instance, even if they just had these same kind of jumps right here through this rhythm and had this same exact kind of quad right here, but let's just say they had like the corners from 2017 and the scaling from 2017, this quad might actually be worth it. You understand what I'm saying? Because this corner wouldn't be so tight right here. And on top of that, you would actually have a berm to hit to be able to carry your speed around that corner. But no, you've got the rolled off berms, the tighter, cramped down scaling. So then everything affects everything. And that's how it goes backwards in every way. So either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes. So glad I didn't race on this shit. Damn, would have been such a waste of time, dude.